Rodgers would never admit this, but I'll go ahead and say it. Other than the obvious, physical differences, like he's got real skill and I don't, I think he and I are a lot alike.
Mike Florio. Don't waste your time reading crap like that.
No, I know what makes him tick.
Mike Florio. Don't waste your time reading crap like that.
I think we'd have a hell of a time after he beat me up.
Mike Florio. Don't waste your time reading crap like that.
Yes.
Doesn't Aaron have anything else to say?
No.
That's it?
That's it. Don't waste your time reading that crap.
Don't waste your time reading crap like that. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. Chris, I still believe that he and I would get along really well.
I do too.
We have a lot more in common than we don't have in common. All right. One thing we may not have in common, he probably doesn't regard the Packers as the 14th best team heading into the season. But this more, from my standpoint, is a reflection of what the Packers did or didn't do in the draft, that they're on the cusp. Here they are, and they've invited this dysfunction by trading up in round one to disrespect Aaron Rodgers. They can paint it however they want. They've disrespected Aaron Rodgers by drafting his replacement while he's made it clear he plans to play into his 40s and he wants to retire with the Packers. And how do you reconcile that with trading up in round one to draft another quarterback when you still have Aaron Rodgers under contract for 4 more years at one of the most lucrative contracts in the NFL? To me, this decision by the Packers to consciously take a step back in the hopes of becoming a team that can compete with the 49ers down the road. They're basically throwing in the towel this year and next year, I feel like. They're trying to build something where they think they can compete with the 49ers later. So fine, if you're going to take a step back, I'm going to give you a step back, and I'm going to drop you down in the ranking of the various teams.
Well, I get it. I think you're going a little low with them here as far as like 14 for a team that got in the Final Four. But I got my concerns a little. Here we are. Yeah, it's 2020. And we're back into oh, man, it's all on Aaron Rodgers to make it happen on the offense. Listen, I like Aaron Jones. I understand he's talented. There's no doubt. Is he a superstar? Is he in that top 5 running back conversation? No, not in my opinion, not yet. I'd like to see another year of real good play before I throw him in there. Yeah, and then you talk about the draft and everything like that and the free agency. They get one guy, Devin Funchess. He's not there. Oh, so it's back to Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Hey, Aaron, bail us out. Hopefully that run game can continue to grow there. But they lost a Bulaga. So it's a weird feel for a team that went to the Final Four last year. I don't really know how to explain it. I guess the best way to look at it is going if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And they are one of those teams where I want to be like, the offseason, they kind of just stayed the same. And I don't know if that's really a term of endearment going into the following season. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Here's my comparison for the 2019 Green Bay Packers. I'm going to go back 1 year earlier to the 2018 Chargers. You brought this up last week, the Phillip Rivers quote from last summer that the Chargers, who were 12-4 in 2018, easily could have been 6-10.
Yeah.
I feel like the Packers, who were 13-3 in 2019, easily could have been a lot worse than that. Close games that they found a way to win. They had a couple of losses in California where they got exposed. And then came the championship game in California where they got really exposed. And I think they got rattled. I think that shook them to the core. I think that the organization looked at 13-3 and said, what did it ultimately get us? It got us an ass kicking by the 49ers. That's why I think they've taken this step back. They haven't gotten immediately better, even though it would have been easy to do it. Aaron Rodgers recently said, hey, when they traded up in round one, I thought they were making a move for one of these receivers.
Right.
He thought he was going to have that new weapon across from Devontae Adams in the passing game. That's the logical thing to do.
Yeah.
That's the thing you do if you're trying to supersede the 49ers. But I think that smothering that they endured with the Bob Greasy passing performance from Jimmy Garoppolo, where he hardly threw, 8 passes, I think it was, for the game? I think that was so demoralizing to the entire organization. They've decided to a certain extent to rip it down and try to build it back up in the image of something that operates more like what the 49ers do, Chris.
Well,
let's get into it. Go ahead. You got any thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, well, first off, your point, 13-3, it was one of the more underwhelming 13-3s we've ever seen. And they were 8-1 in one-score games. Wait. Why were they 8-1 in one-score games? Hold on. It's coming to me. Oh, that's right. Because they have Aaron freaking Rodgers. So, just do it again, Aaron. It's okay. Don't worry. And yes, okay, their defense. I like a lot of their defense. But there is a flaw, as we saw in those, 3 West Coast trips, 2 of them to San Francisco, where they got absolutely bludgeoned in the run game. So that is concerning to me too. Yeah, you got Kenny Clark, but who else in the interior part of the defense is worthy of talking about? The secondary, I like it. Jair Alexander, the safeties are awesome. I like the pass rushers on the edge. We know that's good. But when they had to play teams that had big offensive linemen and can run it down their throat last year, people ran it down their throat. And that worries me when you're also asking the quarterback on the other side to always save the day and win by 1 score or do whatever. So, that's my answer to that. I don't know, Mike. What do you think? Best case, worst case? Where are you going?
Well, let's hang on for that because we got a couple of things to get to before we get to best case, worst case. What's more likely? Aaron Rodgers winning the MVP or leaving the Packers after this season? What's more likely?
I'm going to say MVP. I don't think he's going to leave after this season because I just think Jordan Love is that raw. So I'm going to go MVP out of those 2 choices.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for him to be the MVP.
Me too.
I know, Aaron, you may find that hard to believe. I like a good story like this. I always root for a good story. And there's no story better than maybe both, right? Aaron wins the MVP and the Super Bowl MVP, and then he walks up to Mark Murphy with the Super Bowl trophy like Paul Crewe from the original Longest Yard, hands it to Murphy and says, stick this in your trophy case, and walks away, and he moves on somewhere else. And good luck with Jordan Love. Speaking of Jordan Love, what's more likely? He gets a Taysom Hill package of plays, or he sits on the bench all season long?
I think sits on the bench all season long. One, he's not a Taysom Hill type guy. Taysom Hill was basically a glorified college running back who learned how to throw the football. If they drafted this guy in the first round, protect him for the future, let him learn his way, and just learn under Aaron Rodgers.
All right, Matt LaFleur also added to the team this year in round 2, another running back, A.J. Dillon. Over the weekend, LaFleur was asked about the physique of A.J. Dillon. Here's what LaFleur had to say.
I'm just wondering, have you ever seen legs like A.J. Dillon on a running back? And is your calf anywhere getting close to back to compare with his?
Oh, come on, man. You're going to make me look bad. No, my calf looks extremely weak, but was out there in shorts. But A.J. Dillon, he has got some massive legs. And, we that's something that we talked about with our staff. We have not seen a running back built like that, not in my career that I've ever been around.
Chris, you got to love that.
Oh.
You've got to love that. You're Mr. Legs and Butt and A.J. Dillon. My God, that picture scared me.
It's unreal. And I saw it in person last year doing the Notre Dame game. Boston College came to Notre Dame, and trust me, it's every bit as impressive as it is in that picture. I mean, he is, a Greek god the way he's built. 250 pounds, like a LeGarrette Blount, but more ripped, and it looks like he lifts weights more and does that way. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a great combination. I love those type of combinations. There's Aaron Jones. He's fast. He's quick. He can shoot through a hole. You're used to chasing him, and then all of a sudden late in the third quarter, you go, what? I got to tackle this bulldozer now? I'm, tired. I don't want to tackle this guy. So I think that can be a very effective combination.
I remember when the Giants tried to do that with Tiki Barber and Ron Dane, Thunder and Lightning. Remember that 20 years ago? And it took them to the Super Bowl. All right, best case, worst case, what do you got?
Best case, I don't know. The NFC North, it's up for grabs. So best case, yeah, of course they can win the NFC North. I don't think there's anybody there to look at and go, I don't know. The best player in the division still number 12 in Green Bay. So I give them, and they got a lot of other good players on the team still, and they know how to win football games, and they're battle tested. So I don't think they can win like a first round bye number 1 seed. I don't think that's happening, but I think they can win the division. Worst case, I can't see it. Again, I'm not trying to cop out, but with Aaron Rodgers a quarterback, I don't see worse than 8-8. I don't. They could be crappy, and I still think he can pull, a horseshoe and a rabbit out of his butt a handful of times to keep them right at 500.
I think best case is a division championship, not anything close to a 1 seed.
Right.
And their best outcome is to have what happened last year happen this year, I think. Go to the NFC Championship game if everything falls your way and get handily beaten by the San Francisco 49ers. Worst case, though, I could see the wheels come off. And here's one of the big reasons why. Mark Murphy said over the weekend that they had more than 80% of their season ticket holders opt out for this year. So they decided for the first couple of home games, no fans at all. Lambeau Field without fans, that's going to be a weird place for the Packers to play. I mean, every time you see a game on TV coming from Lambeau Field, it's raucous, it's loud, it's the go Pack go, it's the whole atmosphere. You take the fans out of that atmosphere, I think the Packers are going to be a little wobbly those first couple of home games. They play 4 of their first 6 on the road. They could get off to a bad start. You could have some dysfunction brewing within that organization, because one thing that I think teams learn the hard way, when you go 13-3 and you have that special season and it comes crashing down, you go back to 0-0.
Yeah.
You start losing games early and you start comparing it to last year. I think you start getting real nervous.
You do.
About
100%.
Everything falling apart, and I think it could.
No, I think you're right, Mike. You start out 1-2. You're oh man, what's wrong with us? Why don't we have the magic of last year? What aren't we doing? What is it? And yeah, the panic button can be hit there in a hurry. And you're right. Them playing on the road early on, it's sneaky tough schedule. It's a team that's very, very interesting this year. But they're fortunate in they're in a division that I don't think we can look at one team and go, oh, they're dominant. I feel like all the teams are very close and similar and have some big questions throughout the NFC North.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.